5 travel photography mistakes to avoid while taking photos on vacation. Last week I put out a video on 5 things to avoid when hiring a photographer, but that was more from a professional perspective. In this video, I'm gonna give you 5 practical tips that you can use when taking your own photos while on vacation. Tip number 1, and this might seem like the obvious one, especially if you're already following this channel, but always bring your camera. Some people will say that it's way better just to use your cell phone because that's the camera you have on you, but the problem with cell phones is that it takes you out of the moment because you have all these notifications and there's this desire to post right away. When you have a dedicated camera, not only will you, 1, be taking better quality photos, but it slows you down and forces you to think about the photos that you're actually gonna take. Now, you could go one step further, and if you wanted to, get a film camera, which then forces you to think even more about the photos you're taking, which leads into tip number 2. If you're bringing a film camera, make sure that when you go through the airport, you're taking the camera and not putting it through the X-ray machine. Hand it to the security person and tell them, I have a film camera. And it doesn't matter whether it's a dedicated film camera or a Polaroid camera or one of those disposable cameras. You need to take it out of your bag and manually hand it through so that they can do the inspection by hand. Tip number 3 is to invest in good memory cards. What you want to make sure of is that your memory cards don't corrupt on you or that you don't lose files while you're on vacation. And the best way to do that is invest in a quality name brand. It can be really tempting to cheap out and buy an inexpensive memory card, but the problem is then you're increasing the risk of failure. Now, the safest way to take photos while you're on vacation is to invest in a camera that has dual memory card slots. At the time, when I was in Europe, I had a camera that only had 1 memory card slot, and so what I would do was every few days, I would take my old memory card out, put a new one in, so that way, if any of my cards got corrupted, I would only lose a portion of my files and not everything. And interestingly enough, when I got home, one of my memory cards was corrupt. Now, lucky for me, I was able to find a place that was able to recover it, but it did cost me several $100s to get that footage back and to get that memory card recovered. Another option is if you bring a laptop with you, then make sure you're constantly dumping those files. But yeah, always invest in good memory cards, SanDisk or ProGrade or Sony, because those cards will last you a lifetime and it significantly reduces the probability of those cards failing. Never set your expectations based on Instagram. It can be very tempting to search a location in advance and idealize the views and everything that you're seeing, but the problem is a lot of those photos were either taken by professional, by travel boards, or are the photos that are taken at the best time of day and with the best lighting. You may get to a location and be disappointed because the photo you saw online is hyper edited and you're not able to get the same results. Plus, sometimes those locations are specifically closed off for photo shoots, and you may get there and there may be 1 million people and suddenly you can't get the photo that you were hoping to get. I am a hobbit in my hobbit hole. Actually, this is pretty cool. I don't know what it is. It's like a little hut, little fortress. Which ties into the last point of never go anywhere that you really care about at lunchtime or in the middle of the day. And that's because everyone else is going out in the middle of the day, and especially on weekends. Never do anything that you really care about and that you want to get a good photo of on the weekend, because there will just be so many people and you won't be able to get that photo that you've imagined in your head or that you've seen on Instagram. I'll give you this one example up on the screen of Bruce Peninsula, where I went last year, and everyone knows the Bruce Peninsula because of the famous grotto, and everyone goes there. It's like so hard to get a ticket just to go there, but we actually went to a backcountry campsite, and I took this photo not at the popular spot that everyone else wants to go to, but at a remote campsite that was admittedly a little bit more work to get to. And I took this photo right after a thunderstorm where everyone else was inside or in their tents or hiding from the rain, and I was willing to get out because 1, it was sunset, and 2, the clouds were out and it just looked amazing. Sometimes the spots that are a little bit more secluded, a little bit harder to get to, are gonna be the ones that you wanna put in that little bit of effort, that little bit of extra effort to, because the photos will just be so much better. So then maybe the bonus tip is always go out when it rains, because I guarantee you, anytime you go out right after a rainstorm, you will always get amazing photos. Did I miss anything? Did I cover all the tips that you were expecting? Or maybe there are some others that you have. Go ahead, leave them in the comments down below and see what other people people are saying. If you're not subscribed already, hit the subscribe button. And if you do, I'll see you in the next one. I'm in a hobbit hole. Look at this. Another hobbit hole.